welcome back to our video of Xtreme Stories. And I'm here from another story, once again. Today's video is going to be about something that happened this past weekend. And this thing was not very good. And I'll tell you why it wasn't so good. Because this was an awful thing that happened. I mean, it was more than one. There was like two things that were awful. And I'll tell you what really happened. So it was back on Saturday morning. It was a hot day, and we had a cross-country meet that day. And we had teams coming out like Carmel, North Central, and some other teams which weren't as good as them, I think. Sorry for you guys teams, but these teams were the ones we were competing against. It wasn't a lot of teams, but we were like 8 or 9 competing against us. And our top runner, Jonas, was destined to get the top spot. That's because the fastest time over there was 15 minutes and 33 seconds, and he, of course, was running 15 minutes 40 something, and that was pretty much, impressive. So then, when the race gets started, Jonas was out there. He was really out there. But then, 3 miles later, he was suddenly behind people, and I was like, "What's going on?" Because that was not like him to be behind so many people that fast, and we were like, "What's going on? Is something wrong with him?" Well, when he got finished with his race, he came over and you won't believe what happened. He was looking really agitated, and looked at his arm and his legs, and he had really bad injuries. And I was wondering what happened. And he told me that he tripped and got a really bad injury. And it was enough to get him unfortunately get into the hospital for that, because since the injuries looked so bad, that looked like it could require some stitches on it too. And then the time came for the rest of the JV runners to run, and the coaches warned us about the rocks on the course and on which Jonas had tripped on. And after hearing about that, that kind of worried me. And when the time came for us to run, I was very cautious when I was running, because I knew I didn't want to end up in the same situation as what Jonas ended up in when he fell. But luckily, I had a good race, and I appeared with 21 minutes 20 seconds, which is 20 seconds faster than it was last week. But the celebration didn't last for long, because as soon as I got back to the tent, the other teammates who were running with me were not happy because of something that was going on with them. And a common thing on the course, of course, was shoving. Lots and lots of shoving, which is kind of annoying thinking about it. And that's what the team was talking about. They were complaining about being shoved repeatedly by a bunch of central runners. And our teammates didn't like that, because that was very rude for them to do that. And it's not the only thing. It's not, it wasn't just that. Also, even one of our teammates was almost slammed into a cement wall. I'm not kidding. Literally a cement wall. Like, they were almost pushed right into it. And one of our teammates who had this happen to him was almost landed in the hospital for this. It could have seriously injured him, because one of the teammates from North Central tugged onto this guy and tried to push him into it, which is really scary. Just thinking about it. And the worst part was that no one didn't do anything about it. Like, everyone, there was people there, but for some reason, they just stood around and just pretend they were dopes and just watch this guy saying, "Oh, yeah, this is normal." And our teammates are like, "Oh, no, they can't do that." And then I got this sudden feeling that this probably might have happened to Jonas, that he might have been kicked by one of them, and he landed around the rocks, because he was kicked, probably, hit by one of them, which is probably the reason why he ended up with those bruises. And I can say for sure that those central people played very unfair. And pretty much, I think they're just a bunch of freaking buttheads because of what they did. Because that's not what you do on the cross-country team. You don't push people just for the sake of it. And eventually, Jonas came back, and he had stitch coverings on his arm, and he seemed to be okay. And he was smiling as well, and he seemed to be doing fine. And I asked him if everything was right, and he said everything was right. But the good thing was that he didn't break any bones, which, was a lucky thing, because if he had, then that would have been really bad. But still, he's doing fine now. I just hope that something like this doesn't happen to him again. And that's the story. Anyways, guys, feel free to leave a like and subscribe and view this video. And also, feel free to leave comments if you have any of this happen to you. And I'll see you in the gaming video this Thursday. Goodbye.